Welcome back. You are listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is Matt Watson, and you are listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. And my next guests are Nessa Roffredo, the lower school director at SCVi Charter School, and Shawna Brown, 4th and 5th grade facilitator. That's what we call our teachers. Shawna has designed a truly innovative project through which her students are actually designing a new attraction for the Disneyland park, and they pitched those designs to Disney's Imagineers. And Nessa played us through that intro on the keyboards for Tight Spot. This is Time Heals Everything. Shawna, Nessa, welcome to the show.
Morning, Matt. How are you? Thank you for having us.
I'm doing great. I always love it when you play us in, Nessa. So, Shawna.
Me too.
Shawna, Nessa, the two of you are becoming really frequent guests here on the show, but that's just an indicator of some of the amazing things going on at SCVi right now. Thanks so much for joining us again. Today, I wanted to share with our audience one of the many, but probably your most recent amazing project at SCVi. But before we get started, Nessa, I know you wanted to give a shout out.
Yes, we wanted to say good morning. We've learned that there may be a lot of learners listening from SCVi, so we wanted to make sure and thank you and say hello and just really acknowledge all of the hard work everyone's been doing from their homes. And we're super excited to be able to see everyone in real time, in person, as we start to get back to school in the next couple of weeks. So hello, everybody.
Fantastic. So if you're at SCVi, you may get to be involved in some of these amazing projects, and you may get to hang out at morning meeting and listen to the radio with your classmates. Before we get into that specific project that I wanted to talk about, Nessa, can you tell us a little bit about, I want you to set things up for our listeners who maybe aren't as familiar with how we do school at SCVi. Project-based learning is the vehicle through which we roll out our curriculum. It's such a powerful method of teaching and learning. Can you tell us a little bit about PBL? How's this work for our learners? What's it all about?
Okay, in a nutshell, right? Let's see. So project-based learning can be understood probably as an experience more than a linear series of lessons. Oftentimes, a project is, I taught 4th grade forever, the California missions. So you learn, and then create something to show at the end. The difference with project-based learning is the project is the entire journey from the beginning of the driving question posed by the facilitators or even developed with the learners. And the project is everything that happens in between, with just a share out at the end of more of like a reflection of everything that was learned. So let's see, we're able to teach all the required curriculum. I mean, we can start with the standards and build a project. We can start with a project idea and incorporate standards. And it can be very cross-curriculum where, for example, you can be talking about something in science and focusing last year, Shawna did the Dream Up project where the learners were able to do research and send something up to the International Space Station. But through doing this science project, they were still able to focus on writing skills. They were able to focus on like data and math skills. They were able to, they had to write a proposal for their project to be able to be considered for qualifications. They had to do fundraising for money, which goes back to math again. So project-based learning is really a big experience where the kids are working collaboratively in different groups, wrestling with a driving question, trying to make sense of something in their community maybe, where we still have the opportunity to hit all the curriculum.
So they're working on these projects that are really fun and engaging, really captivate the learners, but they're still able to learn all of the deep, rigorous and important stuff that they're required to learn by the state of California, all the different things that they're going to need to know for the next grade, the next level, the next section of their life, but they do it in ways that like I said, they're fun, they're engaging, ways that they're going to remember everything that they learn. So Nessa, how is this style of learning more beneficial for students than the traditional way we do things in school?
How is it more beneficial? Okay, I would say it's more beneficial because they're not just learning lessons. When I was a kid going to school, we were given the information. You read a chapter, you answer the questions at the back of the textbook. And then on Friday, you have a test, and almost all the information that you've prepared is left on that piece of paper. And Monday, you start again. And although you're supposed to be memorizing all of these dates and facts and info, it doesn't necessarily stay with you, or the question becomes like, why are we learning all of this? Doing project-based learning, kids remember the experience. I mean, they can talk about things they did all the way back in kindergarten and first grade. We had a kinder first grade class that studied animal adaptations one year, and they learned all about different animals, and then they were able to build an animal adaptation, for example, like a fan to replicate the elephant's ear out of pipe cleaners, and just real basic little building. But the idea was they were learning the adaptation, and then we took a field study trip to the LA Zoo, and with their parents, all the parents came, and with their facilitators, they were able to stand in front of each exhibit, and if you did your project about an animal, you were talking to people from the community that were willing to listen. So there was the class, and there were the kids and the adults. Oh, are you willing to listen to our students share about animal adaptation? So here we have 6-year-olds that had this experience that if you tap them on the shoulder on campus, they're in 5th grade now, they can tell you all about that. So they really learned about animal adaptations. They learned public speaking skills. So it was like all the basics, the reading, writing, and arithmetic with all of these other soft skills. I don't even like the word soft skills. Maybe social skills is more appropriate. Just all the critical thinking, collaboration, and communication, presentation, everything you need to be able to do to function with other people.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry, go ahead.
No, I was going to say you're right. Those soft skills, we really should be calling them hard skills because they're really hard to learn. But they're those things that that hiring managers and college entrance advisors and people like that are really looking for. They're like I said, they're hard to teach and learn, and that's what project based learning is so good at. Is allowing our kids to collaborate, to work with each other, speak with each other. I love the idea of a 6-year-old being an impromptu zoo guide. That's really cool. Now, Shawna, I want to get to you because what you developed with your learners recently is so exciting. You and your teammates developed a rather innovative project, yet so simple in its idea. Can you give us a little bit of background on this Imagineering project? What's the idea of the project, and what did you ask your kids to do?
Yeah, so anytime we talk about the Imagineering project with our kids, the first thing that we always bring up is that driving question, which you and Nessa were talking about a little bit earlier. But that really serves as our guiding light. And, if what the learners are doing are answering the driving question of the project, they're spot on. And so the driving question for this project was, how can we develop a visually appealing land that tells a story and evokes an emotional response in our guests of all ages? And so that's a mouthful, but essentially their task was to create a land completely from scratch that would appeal to a broad audience and would be an addition to Disneyland. So think Tomorrowland or the new Star Wars land. It was their job to create a new piece to Disneyland's overall park.
And so Nessa was talking about how important the presentation of their end product is. So it's more than just coming up with ideas. The kids had to then produce something. What was that final product?
Yeah.
What did they have to present at the end of this project?
Yeah, there were 3 main pieces. So they created a fully fledged out business model and business proposal for the land that talked about all of the decisions they made to make their land unique and creative. They also created a scaled model of their ride or themed attraction. And then they also created a commercial that creatively showcases the features of their land.
Wow. So all of that really relative, real world stuff that they're creating. They're creating a business model, a scale model of their proposed land for Disneyland, and a commercial to advertise it. And again, you're working with fourth and fifth graders. Wow.
Yes, absolutely. And we were able to weave in a lot of authenticity by working with Imagineers directly. And the Imagineers just really reflected on, the work that these fourth and fifth graders are doing is absolutely relevant to what they would do if they were Imagineers. So that was incredible.
And so, if our listeners aren't familiar with it, Imagineers are those incredibly creative, artistic scientists, those engineers that work with Disney to design all this exciting stuff that we see when we go to the different Disney parks. So some of those Imagineers were actually working directly with our learners. Shawna, where did this idea come from? How'd you conjure this up?
So last fall, we were kind of settling into virtual learning, and we were thinking that we really wanted to step up our authentic project-based experiences, which is really new territory for all PBL facilitators. We haven't done this virtually before, but we were up for the task. And I figured there had to be resources out there. And so with a quick Google search, I was able to find a really great partnership between Disney and Khan Academy. And they had the project ideas basically all listed out, and we were able to adapt what Disney and Khan Academy had to our needs in fourth and fifth grade and delivered it in a virtual format.
So this project was actually, and that's great teaching, by the way, is doing your research and finding resources and things like that. So this was actually an idea that you found through Khan Academy, but I think it was designed for older grades, right? Like high school, maybe middle school?
Yeah, absolutely. Honestly, looking back on it, you could run this project all the way kindergarten through 12th grade, just because all you need is imagination, and then, you just kind of tweak it to whatever your age group needs. But yeah, we were able to adapt it to fourth and fifth grade really easily, and it still remains very meaningful.
Shawna, I have to give you and your team, I know we're going to be talking with Mr. Kingsley in just a few minutes, but you and the rest of your team, I really have to give you a lot of kudos, because I know designing these projects that not only incorporate all of the different rigorous pieces of curriculum that your learners have to learn, but also make it exciting for them. It's difficult. It's hard. It's really hard. And so I have to give you guys kudos for designing something that not only does all of the stuff that we have to do, but does it in a way that really reaches our kids during a distance learning time. So congratulations to that. It would be logical at this point if I asked, how did it go? What did your learners do? But as I mentioned, we're going to be talking with your colleague, Alan, in just a couple of minutes, and he's going to be with a couple of the learners who are actually listening right now. And so we're going to leave that for them to explain. I want to go back to Nessa for just a second. Nessa, this sounds like a really exciting project, and I know you were really fired up about it, but it's not the only project that your school's developed recently. Can you share with our listeners briefly just some of the other projects going on at SCVi right now?
Sure. I can run down a list of our current projects. Right now, our kinder and first graders are working on a project with the driving question being, how can we use plants to spread happiness? So it's a plant happiness project.
Cool.
Our second and third graders are working on a driving question, what can I invent that will help my community? So they're learning how to be inventors and create inventions. Let's see. Our sixth grade is working on creating their own civilization, focusing on ancient civilizations. And our seventh graders have been focusing on religions and philosophies of ancient medieval China. So they've been creating their own personal code to live by that they are sharing out in their presentations of learning this week.
Wow, that's cool.
Let's see, what else? Our eighth grade is working on a legacy project that they've done every year.
Go ahead.
Well, they're learning how to fly. They're starting the glider project, and so that is going to be a go, even though the question was, being with all the restrictions, will the kids be able to fly this year? And they will. So I know 8th grade that, they've spent the whole year in distance learning. As we start to be able to come back to school, they will be able to get up in those planes and fly this spring. So they're super excited.
That is
Ninth
exciting.
grade has been,
Nessa, before you go on to
yeah,
ninth grade, I want to walk
uh-huh.
that back just a second, because oftentimes when we talk about a glider project, I think of the gliders that I flew when I was in 8th grade, but they were the little 8-inch balsa wood airplanes that you would throw and glide through your front yard. But that's not what our 8th graders are doing. You said they're learning to fly. They're actually piloting these full-size gliders. They go up about a mile high in the air and start flying these airplanes that, by the way, don't have engines, and they learn all the principles of flight and things like that. So exciting. Okay, now you're getting into high school. What are the ninth graders doing?
I just want to say, so exciting. My son, who is now in 10th grade, was in the 8th grade class a few years back, and it's a real experience as a mom to go up to to go up to the flight day and watch your child climb into a plane with the professional, of course, who's still in there. So the two get towed up and launched into the air, and you watch your child fly away out of the distance over the mountains. I mean, it's amazing. And then they come back, and it's literally like they are their 4-year-old selves again. Like, can I do it again? And everyone's ready. And we've even had kids, I know you know, Matt, but we've had kids that have moved on and actually got earned their pilot licenses.
Yeah.
But anyways, yeah.
It's a really exciting
Okay.
program. And Nessa, I would encourage you as a school administrator, you've got to make sure that these programs are safe for your learners. And so you may need to go up into one of those gliders just to quality check it.
I will. I would love to. Actually, that was my goal as a child. When I grew up, I wanted to be an airplane pilot. So I don't know why I didn't do it. I think they were running low on adult opportunities that day. And so I benevolently gave up my space to, at the time, an ed specialist that was there that day. He really wanted to go too. So I thought I'd do it next year. So maybe this year's my chance.
All righty.
Anyways, okay, ninth grade has been looking at literature and focusing on how to develop empathy for others and become advocates for equity. They've read To Kill a Mockingbird and The Hate U Give. 10th grade every year has a personal project where they develop a unique project to explore their passions or interests. So this year we've got kids working on skateboard, how to create a skateboard magazine. There's someone that's learning how to blacksmith his own tools. And so anyways, with the personal projects, I'm not going to do it justice in 2 seconds, but they find a mentor, they find something they're super interested in, and then they spend some time really learning everything they can do to pretty much become a professional at this thing that they're interested in. And then high school, also our literature, they are focusing on getting ready for the Get Lit Slam, which is how can language empower people to express their own truths. And that is, I believe, throughout Southern California, an event that happens in late March, or maybe it's April, where they get to compete with their slam poetry.
Yeah, and a few of our learners were finalists last year. I remember having them on and listening to some of their poetry. Super exciting. I love hearing that we're using some of the classic literature, like To Kill a Mockingbird, which oddly enough is getting banned around, even some areas here in our valley, yet it's more relevant now than ever before. So glad to hear that. So some exciting things going on. But speaking about what's going on, we've only got about 1 more minute. I do want to get to Mr. Kingsley and a couple of the learners, but I'm sure that everybody listening is wondering about classes resuming in person at SCVi. With a lot of our districts making announcements, Nessa, are there plans to get learners back on campus anytime soon at SCVi?
Absolutely. We are still giving everyone the choice. We're all about voice and choice, so our families have the opportunity to choose if they'd like to remain home in distance learning or come back to school. We'll be running small cohorts, slowly rolling out our elementary schools as LA County has permitted TK through 6th grade to go back. So this upcoming week, our TKK class will be the first ones to come back. And then each week we plan to add another grade level just to roll it out smoothly and safely with, obviously all the guidelines in place. But everyone's super excited and has been multitasking to get everything done. Our goal is to have classes in the morning, so everyone can have the experience that they really would like.
Yeah, it is very exciting. Glad to have kids starting to come back on campus. I know that's important for everyone. Shawna, I just want to let you know on the Facebook Live feed, you're getting lots of love. Shawna, Nessa, thank you so much for joining us. When we get back, we're going to follow up with Shawna's teaching partner, Alan Kingsley, and two of their learners. We're going to find out how that Imagineering project went when we come back. You're listening to SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I'm Matt Watson on your hometown station, KHTS.
Celebrate the new year with the Canyon Theater Guild's new spring online youth workshops. Express yourself from the comfort of your own home with super fun classes like improv, script writing, audition techniques, and 2 brand new shows specifically designed for online performances. No borders, no experience necessary, and no end to the fun. Call 661-799-2702 or visit us at canyontheater.org.
Hello, I'm Mike Lindell, inventor of My Pillow, here to tell you about my Giza Dream bed sheets. I made sure that they would be everything you'd ever want in a sheet set. I started with the world's finest cotton called Giza. It's only grown in a region where the Sahara Desert, the Nile River, and the Mediterranean Sea all meet. The long staple cotton makes my Giza Dream sheets ultra soft and durable. They come with extra wide pillowcases to fit over any pillow and extra deep pockets to fit over any mattress. Not only that, they come with my 60-day money-back guarantee and a 10-year warranty. And now you can get the best sheets ever for the best price ever. When you buy one of my Giza Dream bed sheet sets, you'll get another one absolutely free. I personally guarantee that they'll be the most comfortable sheets you'll ever own.
Go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS or call 800-973-3927 and use the promo code KHTS. That's 800-973-3927 or go to mypillow.com and use the promo code KHTS.
Welcome to Dunkin', where safety is their #1 priority. The staff at Dunkin' has daily temperature checks and goes through a series of current health questions prior to each shift. They have all the necessary PPE, including masks, shields, and gloves. In addition, every store is sanitized several times an hour for your protection. Use the Dunkin' app for specials and to order ahead. Carry-out and curbside pickup is available, or have your order delivered by Grubhub, Postmates, Uber Eats, or DoorDash. Dunkin', all-day sandwiches, donuts, bagels, muffins, and of course, hot and cold beverages. Visit Dunkin' on Bouquet, next to Lowe's, or the Dunkin' in Canyon Country on Sierra Highway. The Santa Clarita Valley runs on Dunkin'.
Our trash has got to go somewhere, and Chiquita Canyon Landfill is helping make the Santa Clarita Valley a little greener. Our local landfill creates clean energy from our waste disposal to power 10,000 homes each year. With their 9.2 megawatt clean energy facility harnessing the landfill's methane gas, you can feel good that the waste from your home in the SCV is helping create a clean energy source. Chiquita Canyon Landfill is our partner in sustainable living.
Chiquita Canyon is helping lead the way to a greener future.
Your hometown station.
KHTS is the only station I listen to.
98.1 FM and AM 1220.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 on the AM side. This is SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. Before the break, we were talking with lower school director Nessa Roffredo and 4th and 5th grade facilitator Shawna Brown from SCVi Charter School about a really cool project that the 4th and 5th graders at SCVi just completed. And now I'm joined by Shawna's teaching partner, Alan Kingsley, as well as two of their learners, Imogen Stern and Enzo Barberi. Imogen, Enzo, Mr. Kingsley, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
It's good to have you guys. So, Alan, Shawna described the project last break wherein your learners were challenged to design a new land a la Star Wars Land, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland. They designed a new land for the Disneyland theme park. So how did you guys launch this for your kids? How did you light the fuse, spark the project, and get it all kicked off?
Yeah, so what we did is we, as a team, wrote up a letter and posed ourselves as executives from Disney and talked to them about how we wanted to open a new land to make up for the lost time of 2020. So we told them about the land that we were looking for and some of the ideas. So they got that letter, and then we showed a bunch of different ride videos and different YouTube videos that were talking about different theme parks from around the world.
Very cool. So you set it up. You set the challenge for them. So I can imagine, how I would have responded if my fifth grade teacher would have proposed a project like this. So, Alan, how did your kids respond? What did they think about it?
The kids were super excited about it. They were. We had just finished up one project, so we were jumping right into this next one, and they were super excited about it and had a ton of questions for us. We confused some of them with the Disney letter, so we had to do some clarification. But
Okay.
They were super, super excited.
I can imagine, and you know what? Let's not just talk about them. Let's talk to them. We've got a couple of your learners on the line. So Enzo, tell me a little bit about what you thought when you heard about this project. When Mr. Kingsley and the other facilitators first told you about this project, what did you think? What was going through your head?
Well, what was going through my head, I was excited. I was really excited about that because, after when we built our land, it was just a fun project, and it seemed fun from the start.
Well, yeah, I can imagine it was really fun. So, Enzo, can you tell us about your land? What land did you design and to be added to Disneyland?
I designed Dessertland. It is a land filled with desserts, tastes, and smells.
Oh, wow.
It's awesome.
Yeah, I can imagine. I can totally get on board with Dessertland. Now, I actually saw your commercial the other day, and it was really exciting. Can you tell us a little bit more about Dessertland? So, when I walk into Dessertland, is it just a bunch of different desserts for sale, or are there rides? Tell me about Dessertland.
Well, the first part is when you walk in is that there's a restaurant.
Okay.
And then after dinner, how can you choose dessert? So then you go into the ride, which is Dessertland, and you go around the milk river into every dessert land.
I love a glass of ice cold milk with my dessert. Now, I can imagine it's okay in Dessertland to eat your dessert before your dinner. Is that cool in Dessertland?
Oh, yeah. Always.
Always, yes. Fantastic. So let me talk to one of your classmates. Imogen, what about you? Can you tell me a little bit about your project? What land did you design?
So I designed an American Girl land, and when you go in, you see the different, with the hotel. You see the hotel, but there's also different paths to different, parts of the land. You can go to, the Courtney's Land, where there's the ride that I built, which is a Christmas Star Shooter ride that you go through Courtney's story on how girls can basically do anything code.
Nice.
Even though they're a girl, they can still do things. And you go through it. In the beginning, you see Courtney as a young girl, and then you go into the video game that she's coding. But then once you come out, Courtney is all grown up, and you see her get an award for being the best video gamer in California.
Fantastic. Girl power. So this sounds like a lot of fun. And you're talking about the American Girl land, so it's based on the line of American Girl dolls, correct? Where each one has their
Yes.
own story. That is so cool. I
Yes.
can imagine you've got all different kinds of attractions based on the different backstories of each doll. So that sounds really exciting and really fun, Imogen. But it wasn't all fun and games, was it? You were supposed to
No, it
learn a
wasn't.
lot from the project. What did you learn as you were developing this project?
I learned that I learned about like patience and that you can't just like run right to the point. You have to like work through all the steps, get everything together, and you got to think of what you want it to be. Like, do you want it to be something that maybe already exists? Do you want it to be something that you made up?
Well, that's, gosh, really important and so valuable. That those skills that you guys have developed are going to serve you as you step into college and into your career. That is so important. Mr. Kingsley, another important part of the process, I know you talked about the beginning and the launch of the project earlier, but another important part of that process is a public presentation. I remember when I was in school, almost everything that I produced, all my homework, even when we did projects, most of the stuff when we were done, it just went straight into the garbage. But in making project-based learning authentic, we allow our learners to present to a public audience. So can you talk a little bit about the presentation, what we call the POL, the presentation of learning? What did your learners have to do to present, and then who was involved?
Yeah. So this was a longer project for us. So this lasted about 9 weeks.
Oh.
So the first part of their POL was taking all of the work that they've done through the 9 weeks and compiling it into a portfolio. So it was refreshing their minds about everything that they've learned and putting it all together in one spot. And that's going to go into their leadership notebooks, which is something that carries on all the way through 12th grade. So that part is going to be in there. And then the second part of our POL was the learners were asked to make a commercial to entice visitors to come to their land. So we had them shoot videos on Flipgrid and on their phones, and they were sending them to us. And then we took those commercials and we selected some of them to go to a panel of former Disney Imagineers and Universal Studios employees that are very familiar with land design and the entire process that we went through. So there were 5 of them. One of them even called in from South Africa. So that was really cool. And they got to watch all the videos from the learners, and they gave feedback to each of them. So they were super excited. They talked about how one of them does this project with seniors, and it's their senior culminating project. And they talked about how our grade level did this individually. So each kid did one of these commercials and went through the process. And their seniors do it as a group. And our work was better than some of the things that they've seen. So now what we get to do is that we're going to put all of our commercials together, and we're going to send them off to them, and they are going to give feedback to every one of our kids in 4th and 5th grade.
Again, so cool, so important. But obviously, you know, our kids are going to school so that they can grow and learn, and that's why we employ project-based learning. So what did you see over the course of these 9 weeks? In what ways did you see your learners learn new material and grow as students, as human beings?
So one of the big silver linings of distance learning and the way that we're doing it is that the kids are becoming very tech savvy. So they're getting lots of experience on Google Slides and researching and pulling things in and putting things together. So that was a huge part of it. The other part is what Imogen was talking about, having to really focus in on beginning with the end in mind, and like figure out this grand product that we were going to have them do, but walk through all of those steps. So they learned a lot of patience. They learned a lot of time management, because this project, even though it was 9 weeks, they had things to do every single week. So they learned a lot from a wide variety of things.
So really exciting, and just I'm so jealous of the opportunity that you had to see these kids grow like this. So now let's look forward. I mean, where do you go from here? Because you can't just rest on your laurels. What's on tap for your next project or something in the future?
Yeah, so we have two projects that we are we are in the midst of planning. So one is a very large project about California history, so all the way from the Bear Flag Republic up till the modern day. So they'll be working through that, as well as we're putting together a specific math project about fractions and cookbooks and things like that. So we're going to be having those projects going throughout the rest of the year.
What a cool project. So let me ask one more question of Imogen and Enzo. Imogen, let's start with you. So I know you were really excited about this project. Do you think becoming an Imagineer is something you might want to do in the future? Or do you have your eyes on something else? What would you like to do for your career as you grow up?
Well, I've always thought about this, and I've always wanted to be different things. Like, I've always wanted to be a baker. I've always wanted to do something with animals. And, like, sometimes I just think that I can't decide. And, like, I always am like, what am I going to do? It's just, but I always think to myself, I'll have a lot of time to think about this. I don't have to worry about it.
Yeah.
But it's just something I like to think about sometimes. But there's a lot of things I want to do when I grow up, and there's just so many options I can't decide.
Yeah, and you've got, like you said, you've got plenty of time, and you've got plenty more of more experiences to have to help you figure out what you love and what you're passionate about. What about you, Enzo? Have you thought about the future and what you might like to do?
Yes. And becoming an Imagineer does not sound bad because, I mean, it'll be fun working for Disney and Universal for all those people. But yeah, I mean, it's fine with me. I mean, yeah, becoming an Imagineer on my list.
That'd be great, and they would be lucky to have you. Mr. Kingsley, Imogen, Enzo, we're so grateful for your time today. Thank you so much for calling the show. You guys have a terrific weekend.
Thank you so much.
You guys take care. And
Thank you.
Take care.
to our listeners, if you're interested in this type of deep and rigorous, relevant education for your kids, kindergarten through 12th grade, you can contact SCVi at ileadSantaClarita.org. That's ILEAD, SantaClarita.org. Or you can call us at 661-705-4820, 661-705-4820. SCVi is a free public alternative that any student can attend from, again, TK, transitional kindergarten, through 12th grade. However, they only have so many spots available, and often they will have more people apply for enrollment than they actually have space for. So the way it works with charter schools is to make it fair for everyone. There's an enrollment. Enrollment is selected via lottery. So if we have more applicants than we have spaces, we do a lottery. Got a great big like bingo wheel where we pull postcards and names out of the bingo wheel. So it's not who has better test scores or who has the parent that can volunteer more or anything like that. It's all done in a fair way via lottery. SCVi's lottery is actually coming up pretty quick. The lottery is going to take place on March 26th. However, the deadline to get your learner's name into that lottery is 1 week prior, so you need to apply by March 19th. So if there's anyone interested, please fill out your enrollment interest form on the website today. Again, iLead, I-L-E-A-D, iLeadSantaClarita.org. Prior to the 19th, SCVi will be hosting a series of virtual information sessions where you can meet the site directors. Nessa, who we spoke with earlier, will be there with some of the facilitators from each grade level, along with upper school director. That's what we call our high school. Nicole Padovich will be there to answer your questions as well. Those are going to be taking place this Wednesday, February 24th at 5 p.m. for lower school, TK through 8th grade, and at 6 p.m. for upper school, 9th through 12th grade. And 2 weeks from today, on March 5th, SCVi will have its kindergarten roundup, which will be the informational session specific to TK and kindergarten, as well as first grade. That session begins at 6 p.m. Again, March 5th. Go to ileadsantaclarita.org for more information. You can register for any of these events on the SCVi website. Again, ileadsantaclarita.org. And just click on the top portion where it says Join an Info Session. All right, we will be right back. This is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson, and this is your hometown station, KHTS.
With locations throughout the valley, Providence offers the most advanced technology and therapies for treating cancer in Southern California. Call 1-888-HEALING for your annual checkup or second opinion. The road to healing leads to Providence.
Healthcare can be difficult if you're underinsured or have Medi-Cal. Samuel Dixon Family Health Center can help. Services are available on a sliding fee schedule. The mission of the Samuel Dixon Family Health Center is to give the Santa Clarita Valley access to affordable, quality primary care. There are 3 locations to serve you: Canyon Country, Newhall, and Valverde. Go to sdfhc.org for more information and to find the location most convenient for you.
The shows must go on. The Main in Santa Clarita is your destination for free online music, theater, art, and entertainment opportunities. Tune into fun variety nights, join a talent show, learn from filmmaking experts, attend a modern play, and more from the comfort of your home. For more information and to view upcoming events, go to facebook.com/themain.newhall or at themain.org. Enjoy the shows.
Excellence isn't just a word, it is what we deliver. Vanguard Protection Group is committed to providing its clients with the highest echelon of protective services available. Our clients not only receive the security services they contract for, but also reports that are well-written, articulate, and thorough. Our patrol officers operate at the highest levels and have an impressive rapport with local law enforcement. With military, police, private policing, and courtroom experience, you can trust that we have the strength to deliver our promise of excellence. Contact Vanguard Protection by calling 661-753-3611 or visiting their website at vanguardprotectiongroup.com.
Your hometown station, KHTS.
Welcome back. You're listening to KHTS, your hometown station, 98.1 FM and 1220 AM. This is SCVi and iLead Schools Eye on the Valley. I am your host, Matt Watson. We just wrapped up talking about one of the really cool projects that they just wrapped up at SCVi. The 4th and 5th graders designed new lands to incorporate with for Disneyland, and it wasn't just all Minecraft and Legos. They had to make business plans and pitch their ideas, develop commercials. They did a lot of writing and then obviously a lot of oral presentation, such an important skill. And they presented to some of the Imagineers at Disney as well as some of the employees from Universal. Really exciting project. And Nessa also talked with us about some of the other just absolutely amazing projects going on at SCVi. One of the things that that we didn't get a chance to cover on, but is really exciting. SCVi launched for its first time this year a dual language immersion program where learners in kindergarten and first grade are actually developing their curriculum, doing all these exciting projects and learning to read and to write and to count and add and subtract. But they're doing it in English and they're doing it in Spanish. They have 2 facilitators, one who facilitates the curriculum in English, one who facilitates the curriculum in Spanish. And so they rolled that out for the first time this year. Really exciting, and it has been extremely popular. As a matter of fact, that was a tough program to get into at SCVi this year. And so Nessa let me know before she hung up that they're actually expanding the program for next year. And I believe she said that they were doubling in size. And so opening up twice as many spots for that dual language immersion program next year. So really excited. We actually hired a couple of facilitators from Spain. And so if you enroll your learners into this program, they may end up with that Spanish accent. But those facilitators we hired, they actually still live in Spain. And one of the exciting things, I don't know how they keep themselves on a schedule, but they've actually been living in Spain while they're facilitating remotely here in Santa Clarita, because we've been doing everything remotely. But now that we're getting back on campus, well, they are coming to the Valley here, and those two facilitators that are teaching our littles in Spanish are gonna come out to the campus at SCVi, start working with our learners in person, and like I said, we're going to be doubling that program next year. So if you're interested in that dual language immersion program and you've got younger ones, check us out at ileadsantaclarita.org and click on the information tab. You can get your name in for that enrollment lottery that we were talking about. You can sign up for more of those informational sessions. And get your kids involved in some of those incredibly exciting and incredibly important projects that our learners are working on there. You know, earlier in the show, we also talked with Congressman Mike Garcia about some of the legislation that he's been co-sponsoring and pushing during this critical time in our country. We talked about the insurrection in D.C. on January 6th. We talked about the new stimulus package. He talked a lot about the COVID-19 vaccine and getting our community and our country kind of reopened as we turn the corner on this. Infection rates are going down, and it looks like hopefully the worst is behind us, and we're moving forward, and not a moment too soon, because you know, we're starting to vaccinate people. We've prioritized, like we should, our healthcare workers and our senior citizens. And you know, three of my four parents have received their vaccine, and the fourth is on the list, and she's going to be vaccinated soon. Yeah, three of my four parents. Don't criticize my family bush. It's a long story. But anyways, I got to thinking about it the other night, and we really need to get the rest of us, those of us that are ready and willing, got to get us vaccinated and open back up. Because with all of our senior citizens being the ones that are vaccinated, as it should be, you know, I was worried that soon all the restaurants and airports and libraries and all of our public spaces were going to be filled with baby boomers who are now vaccinated and out there living their best life, while the millennials and the Gen Xers are staying safer at home before they can get vaccinated. And you know, you think about that, it just takes us right back to the 1980s. You know, like I said, mom and dad out there living their best life while we sit at home scared of a stiff breeze. You know, we'll be latchkey kids again. And, you know, if it weren't for infection rates going down, I was worried that the average DoorDash driver was going to be 78 years old and, you know, showing up at my front door saying, "I know you ordered a pizza, honey, but I brought you some meatloaf and lima beans instead. Much better for you." What do you mean you don't want it? I made it myself. You know, so, you know, it's good that we're turning the corner, because, you know, governments have had to get really, really creative. As a matter of fact, the Egyptian government was working on a really innovative way to combat the lockdown fatigue. You know, we've all been safer at home, locked down, quarantined, whatever you want to call it, for a long time, and that was really leading to a lot of anxiety in Egyptians who had been locked into their homes, and things had changed. You know, in Cairo, it's such a big city with a lot of hustle and bustle, but things really quieted down, and that was adding to the anxiety of people in Cairo. So what the government did, which was really innovative, is they instructed the city taxi drivers just to drive around the streets of Cairo honking their horns, you know, just tooting away, so that to simulate the sounds of busy thoroughfares there in Cairo. And it's hoped that the return to familiar city sounds would help restore calm and reduce anxiety during the pandemic. They called it Operation Tutankhamun. So that will last throughout the week. Yeah, but anyways, thank you so much for joining us. And I want to thank my guest, Congressman Mike Garcia, my big brother, Big T, and SCVi Lower School Director Nessa Roffredo with facilitators Shawna Brown, Alan Kingsley, their learners Enzo Barberi and Imogen Stern. I want to invite you to join us again next weekend, every week, Friday from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. I am Matt Watson, and this is SCVi and I Lead Schools Eye on the Valley on your hometown station, KHTS.